ဒီတစ်ပတ်ကျွန်တော်တို့တွေ့ဆုံမေးမြန်းဖို့စီစဉ်ထားတာတော့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံမှာ Joint Peace Fund လို့ခေါ်တဲ့ကျွန်တော်တို့နိုင်ငံ17နိုင်ငံပူးပေါင်းပြီးမြန်မာနိုင်ငံရဲ့ငြိမ်းချမ်းရေးကိုအထောက်အကူပြုဖို့ဖွဲ့စည်းထားတဲ့ Joint Peace Fund ရဲ့ Director Paul Randolph ကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ studio မှာဖိတ်ခေါ်ထားပါတယ်ဗျ So welcome to the show Paul. Firstly, really thanks for come and have an interview, agree to interview with us. First, please let us know what is a Joint Peace Fund role in, supporting inclusive peace in Burma, Myanmar.
Yeah, well, thank you, Minglaba. It's really an honor for me to be here today to talk with you about advancing peace here in Myanmar. The Joint Peace Fund exists with the generous donations and support of 11 different international donors from around the world to help support this domestic peace process that's underway here in Myanmar. JPF was created in 2016 to help support this domestic peace process that's led by government, EEOs, the Tatmadaw, and the people of Myanmar to help bring lasting peace. And through JPF, we look to support our one objective that we have is really to support an inclusive peace process that helps lead to an enduring peace for this country, which has been something you've aspired to have since independence. Over the last 70 years, it's been a very difficult challenge, but one that we hope to help support today.
Okay, so like you said, it is not only government and also, but also ethnic armed groups.
Yes.
And also, do you have any other support to other civil society, women, youth? Apart from the state center approach, what else do you do to make peace realized in these countries?
Yeah, I think in order for peace to be enduring, we recognize that you need to have a broad inclusion of all the people and organizations in this country that are striving to find peace. And those stakeholders, we call them our stakeholders. So we're a demand-driven method organization that supports various groups. So, as people approach us, we have supported government, we have supported the ethnic armed organizations, both those who have signed the National Ceasefire Agreement, those who have signed bilateral ceasefire agreements, and those who are striving to be a part of the peace process. We also support political actors, those who see whether it's parliamentarians or political parties equally who are involved in the peace process, civil society organizations, and just in general the people of Myanmar, because peace for this country is something that affects every single person in Myanmar, whether it's their villages being undergoing conflict and suffering the ramifications of conflict in their communities, or whether it's communities like in the Irrawaddy that may not have felt conflict in their community, but they certainly are feeling the impact economically, because with conflict in a country, it reduces the economic opportunity because it reduces the types of investments that will affect them. So every citizen in this country, every person in this country is impacted by conflict and war. So peace is in part of their life, and we feel that we are looking for supporting all stakeholders to have an enduring peace here.
Okay, so it's very good that you talk about conflict area and non-conflict area, and also the impact of conflict over people day-to-day living. Quite a lot of people argue that to have a genuine peace in Myanmar, Burma, they need to have a genuine federal democratic system.
Yes.
Do you have any specific supports? What do you do to realize this, inclusive federal democratic system in this country? What is your work on this?
Yeah, part of the formal peace architecture here of how they're working towards finding a negotiated peace involves 5 thematic areas, and it's been laid out in the National Ceasefire Agreement. It's been also included in the framework for political dialogue. It really gives you the structure of the peace process here. And within that, they've talked about 5 important thematic areas that they're trying to negotiate peace towards. They recognize that peace will be found through determining what is the political arrangements, whether it's the federal system, what will that look like? They've talked about the importance of the security reforms that will be necessary. They've talked about the natural land, natural resources and management of those, economic development and social support systems. So these are the 5 areas of the peace process currently as agreed by the various negotiators. And we provide support in 3 different areas. So when we look at inclusive peace, we see that there are 3 really primary areas of support that we go to. One is supporting mechanisms for conflict resolution within the country. We look at supporting dialogues and negotiations, and we look at improving participation in the overall peace process. So through those 3 kind of baskets of programming, we try to help provide resources to allow advancement in each of those 3 areas.
So also, I mean, in terms of inclusive, in terms of former government ceasefire, there is only 10 groups side, especially in the northern part of Myanmar, along China border. They are not, I mean, one of their main demand is inclusive, especially regarding the 3 groups that deliberately exclude by the time at all. So what is your strategy to make more inclusive in the future 4th Panlong or forthcoming another Panlong conference? So you have any strategy to make more inclusive in this ongoing formal and non-formal process? What is your strategy on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think as I said at the beginning, this is a nationally owned process. The international donor community is very much here as a support role to help find where there's opportunities to provide additional support. When you talk about inclusive, particularly as you said, there are certain organizations that are currently not signatory to the National Ceasefire Agreement. We support all actors, so we know that there are a number of EAOs that currently are not signatory to the National Ceasefire Agreement. Some have signed bilateral ceasefire agreements. But clearly up in the north is probably right now today the gravest threat to the peace process exists in the ongoing fighting in Kachin and northern Shan states. And how to bring, first the step is to bring an end to the fighting. The second step is then to have negotiators come to a table to negotiate what is a long-term solution and an enduring peace agreement. But that the ongoing fighting is a grave concern. Obviously, tens of thousands of people have been displaced and are directly affected by the fighting. So, bringing that to an end is clearly the role of the negotiators from the government, from the top Mada, from the EAOs at this stage. What we try to do in supporting that is to have informed negotiations. Again, on a demand-driven basis, when requested, JPF is able and willing to provide expert technical assistance on those key thematic areas that have been agreed to in the political solutions, the security sector solutions, and the others. We can provide technical support to provide technical expertise for the various negotiating parties, so that when they come to the table, they are informed, that they equally have information about what are various options and solutions to the various issues here in Myanmar, and that they then can take that information and develop their own negotiation strategies and plans and conduct negotiations. We're not involved in the negotiation aspect, but we do provide support to help have them be informed as they develop their positions and enter into negotiation.
So you do not only funding but also technical support to the ceasefire process. And another one particular question, the role of international organization in Myanmar peace process. Of course, I mean, if you look at JPF, it's quite a lot of Western country,
Yes.
When we're talking about northern part of Myanmar state, not in the peace process, are there any prospect that country like China will join into this ongoing peace process, or more regional like India, or even in the southern part of Myanmar is Thailand. Do you have any plan to bring more regional player in Myanmar national peace process? What is their role, and do you have any plan them to have a more inclusive from the region?
Yeah, I think from our donors, JPF, the Joint Peace Fund was established to be an inclusive multi-donor mechanism, and I think it's a unique mechanism created here in Myanmar, unlike anywhere else I've served in the world. It was formed fairly early in the stage of the peace process here. They formed it to try to have a broad tent of as many donors as possible. I think we have 11 donors, is quite a large number. The European Union, Australia, Canada, Finland, Norway, Switzerland, Italy, Denmark, the US and the UK, and Japan are all part of our donor body. We certainly encourage and hope to have others join, because I think it's useful to have one place where resources can be jointly managed and supported in a coherent way. We recognize, though, that there are many different countries and we welcome them to join us, but we also know that there's a lot of there's roles for bilateral assistance. There's roles that various countries are playing, and certainly the regional partners and neighbors of Myanmar have a direct interest in helping promote peace. So we certainly are welcome to additional donors joining us, and we certainly would hope to help manage their resources in a responsible manner.
Okay. My last question will be the future perspective of peace. State Councilor Daw Sasu said there will be 3 more national level peace conference until 2020. And Chief Commander Mayonline also said that they want to see the peace process, result in 2020. What do you see about this near future, about the potential long-lasting peace in Myanmar?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to attend the 3rd Union Peace Conference in July, in the opening ceremonies, and I think it was an important step in the peace process to have the peace conference take place. I think, as you indicated, a number of important statements were made during the opening ceremonies by the key actors, and reestablishing their commitment to finding a way forward. I think also in the peace conference, the state councilor recognized that there was a need to review the framework for political dialogue and to look at the systems and structures of how negotiations and dialogue would move forward, and to take a fresh look at that. And so I think there were some important discussions that took place. I think it's what we've seen internationally with other processes. We like to talk about what is our role in this peace process from an international donor community as a support role. And you've mentioned it a couple times in this interview. We talk a lot about inclusion, we talk a lot about informed, and we talk a lot about enduring. And those 3 key aspects of what we look to support here is through the inclusion, I think the dialogue process and how you ensure you maintain a balance between those who are at the negotiation table, but then those who are also important actors in helping ensure the negotiation is rich. So we know worldwide that when women are active participants on negotiation teams, that there's a 35% greater chance that the peace agreement will actually last for greater than 15 years. So we know that role that women bring and the outlook that they bring to a negotiation helps give a well-rounded agreements can come out of that. So inclusion in the form of that role that women can play is important, and we try to support that through our resources. We also know that when you involve civil society. That civil society plays a critical role in helping people understand, one, what is the process, two, how can they be engaged in the process constructively, and how can they ultimately implement a successful peace agreement once it happens. And we know, again, that when civil society is participating in the process during the negotiations, during the process, that there's a 64% likelihood that that peace process will be implemented successfully once the agreement is reached. So, from an inclusion perspective, these are critical factors that we try to look at. I already mentioned kind of why informed negotiation is also important. We very much know worldwide that when actors enter a peace negotiation uninformed, or one side of a negotiation is uninformed, and they actually reach an agreement, it is only a matter of time that the uninformed become informed, and it is exceptionally likely that that agreement will fail. Because once people become enlightened with new information, the confidence and trust that's necessary to reach an enduring agreement is undermined, which then the agreement fails. So that informed aspect of negotiation is something, again, that we try to provide direct technical assistance to help ensure that all parties in the negotiation have the same information about what are the options. Then they need to come up with what are the solutions based on that information. And then lastly, enduring, we just know that for enduring agreements, this will take time, that the peace process is going to take time. It's now, we're into 70 years plus, and trying to find peace for all of Myanmar. It's not going to be quick, but it is something that I think through the third UPC you saw a renewed commitment to work towards an agreement, and they talked about trying to achieve a lot of progress between now and 2020, which is important to put out timelines and to try to have goals in which you're striving for. So I think it was a good step to have the Union Peace Conference in July. We certainly hope there's a lot of informal and formal negotiations that need to take place in order for the next UPC to continue to advance the process.